The short-lived GT Advance series of races was a Game Boy Advance exclusive that featured 3 mainline entries, all based on different facets of motor racing. This is not actually related to the much more famous Gran Turismo series, by the way, despite the GT initials here. In fact, I'm not sure how they got away with it. Even weirder is that the Japanese version of this game is called Advance GTA, which is even less similar to the more famous title of the same initials. Developers MTO are one of your more petrol-headed development companies, with many racing games to their name. One of their earliest titles on any system was the Initial D Gaiden racer from the very late Game Boy library, coming out in March 1998, and it wouldn't be too long until they took their style to the Game Boy Color with Pocket Racing, which we'll look at when we get to late 1999 in that series. They also had a trilogy of Japanese-exclusive PlayStation games called Option Tuning Car Battle, so several different miniseries, but a lot of similarities across platforms. Customization often plays a huge part in these more realistic races. Here you get a massive choice of cars, 48 in total from 8 different manufacturers, completely licensed too, which is pretty cool, and they're all tunable as well should you manage to unlock other parts. Some of these even alter the visuals of your car, which I didn't expect to see. However, the options available to you aren't quite as varied as you might hope if you're properly into the simulation side of racing games. You can't tweak gear ratios or wing angles or any of that, you're literally just installing better parts. If you're not into all of this, then you won't miss it, of course. Note too that you're not limited to just installing these parts on your current car. If you unlock a new beast, then you can easily transfer all your add-ons to that with a simple click of the button. There are 32 courses and several different game modes, your standard championships, quick race, time trial, that sort of thing. You have 3 trophies to win in classes of varying difficulties, beginners, middle and high speed. You're racing against 7 other drivers over 3-lap races and need to get a podium spot to go on to the next race. 4th or worse and you're retrying. Come 3rd and you'll unlock the next track. 2nd gets you a new part as well sometimes, and the winners even get access to a new car. So lots to strive for and unlock. There are even 2 unlockable game modes, kart racing and formula racing. These you'll get access to if you manage to get gold in all races in all the classes in the championship seasons. If you miss one, you can always go back to it later once you've unlocked better cars or parts. The controls are incredibly straightforward. A is go, B is don't go. Left and right are you get the idea. Don't just hold accelerate straight away. If you can time it so that your revs are somewhere in the region of 7 to 7,500 RPM on the go, you'll get a big starting boost. It's a great way to get past those irritating couple of cars right at the start. The triggers shift up or down gears if you're in manual transmission, all standard stuff. To really get the most out of the game, you will have to master this power slide technique, which allows you to retain much more speed while cornering. This isn't one of those racing games where you can just hold accelerate the whole way round. You're gonna have to leverage your speeds properly, else it's the gravel trap for you. It's not just braking that's important, it's how you brake. Holding A and then pumping the brakes, i.e. tapping B, will kick your car into this power slide, allowing you to drift around less tight corners with ease. It requires you to keep accelerating though. Some tighter turns will require you to hold B or even take your foot off the gas. Crazy concept, I know. Also, it's different depending on the car you're driving and even whether they're front or rear wheel drive. The main thing to avoid, and this seems silly perhaps to point out, is bumping into stuff. The sides of the track are incredibly unforgiving. This isn't one of those games where you can cut corners at all. You hit the sides even just slightly and you'll lose a ton of speed, and it doesn't take many bumps to reduce your chances of winning to 0. This makes you a bit more conservative when overtaking too, because crashing into an opponent slows you much more than it does them. It's sometimes worth hanging a little back through more twisty sections because you'll almost certainly be faster than them on the straights. Graphically, this is quite brilliant actually. Very impressive visuals with unique sprites depending on which car you pick, all of which have many different frames. The Mode 7 for the backgrounds is effective, although as I just said, the edge detection on the track is very harsh, and you can crash into the sides even when it looks like you could glide over. A little leeway would have been appreciated. However, the backgrounds are nice and varied, with some races even taking place at night. I'm less enthused by the music, which sounds very 8-bit chiptuney in places, but not done that well. You can turn it off though, to be treated to some excellent engine noises that also change depending on your car. It's not all good news though, when we start to consider the THQ published Western releases of this game. The self-published Japanese copies all have a battery backup in them. However, THQ in their infinite, self-destructive wisdom decided to save money on production costs and take these out, replacing them with a password system. What's the big deal, I hear you ask? Loads of games do that. Well, the problem is that there's so much in this game, a lot of which simply isn't available at the start of the game. You have to unlock it. With so many variables to consider, is the Subaru Legacy B4 unlocked? Do I have titanium mufflers available? Did I come second or third on medium class track 3, and so on? This password is unwieldy as heck and annoying to type in. And it's 2001, right? No one's walking around with a camera phone in their pocket to snap it. They're writing this stuff down on scraps of paper. What if you lose it? What if you scroll a letter down wrong? Your entire game, all your unlocks, just gone like that. There was a serious backlash too, so much so that THQ reinstated the battery save for the 2 sequels. You don't get anywhere in life by being cheapskates, do you? Oddly, they spent too much on some commercial failures about a decade later, which resulted in them going bust, so I don't know what to tell you. Aside from this though, there's not a great deal to whinge about with GT Advance. A rock-solid racer that went a great deal of the way to giving GBA owners their own little taste of a Gran Turismo experience. And I must reiterate that these games are not linked, despite the similar names and natures of game. I wonder how many people actually thought they were. Also, don't get this confused like I did with Top Gear GT Championship, which came out around the same time in Europe and North America, as that's a different game made by VisionWorks and Kemco based on the Japanese touring car tournaments. Yeah, this is all a bit confusing, isn't it? As always, if in doubt as to what game you've got, check the product code, AGB-ACA for this one. It was a little surprising to find that the GBA had 3 racing games amongst its launch title collection, but upon reflection, this is considerably different to F-Zero, both of which again are very different to the 3rd racer that we're going to play next Wednesday. Look out for that one.